Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Digital Identification and Onboarding session. Moderated by Maria Staskiewicz, President, European Digital Finance Association, with the participation of Professor J. Mark Bishop, Scientific Advisor, FACT 360, Christopher von Bitzen, Chief Product Officer, Freya EID, Group AB, Anthony Scarlatos, Key Account Manager, Namirio.
So once again, very good morning to everyone. I work for the European Digital Finance Association, so I'll just take 30 seconds of your time introducing what we do. We are an umbrella, a federation of fintech associations in the EU. I'm also based in Brussels, and we try to talk to the regulators and policymakers to shape the world in which fintechs and financial institutions work, to make them updated for what is coming in the future. We also have a second leg, which means that we try to bring together various fintechs from European economic area to work together. And today I have the pleasure to chair, maybe for the last time, because the ChatGPT did a very good work, so I think that's the end of chairs in panels. Anyway, I'm here and I have the pleasure to have two knowledgeable gentlemen with me discussing the new trends in digital identification, digital onboarding. And we'll focus on three things. First, on the new trends. Second, on the threats and ways how to mitigate them online. And the third thing we'll focus will be the policy challenges and how to make the entire identification process less cumbersome, at least in the EU context. And the gentlemen, as I understand, will start with very short presentations discussing the work they do, the projects and products they develop. And we'll start maybe with you, Mark.
I'm Mark Bishop, Professor Emeritus of Cognitive Computing at the University of London and Scientific Advisor to FACT 360 and a former elected chair of the AISB, that's the Association for the Study of Artificial Intelligence and the Simulation of Behaviour, and it's the world's oldest body for the study of AI. 3 years ago, my entire research team at the University of London left, and they span out from the university to form a company, FACT 360. And I'm here today to outline how, together, we've subsequently worked within the fraud and insider threat community and how these insights might be of interest to those of you working in the alternative finance community as we move into an increasingly digital era. Now, one of the reasons I became interested in cybersecurity is because when I first came across the advice given by the UK National Cybersecurity Centre, which is part of a GCHQ in the UK, to mitigate cyber threat, it specifically foregrounded the ability to be able to prevent, monitor and audit at-risk environments. And my team at that point had for some time been developing a powerful new AI technology, transactional analytics, that we believed we could leverage to deliver just that. Certainly, after we examined the leading market offerings working in this space, for example, from companies like Darktrace, it seemed to me that the fundamental block we have in this industry is that everyone's focused on the technology platform rather than the human actors. Whereas you'll note from the key findings from the Verizon data breach report, 82% of all breaches involve some form of human input. Whether that human input could be something from innocent human error or a deliberate intent to defraud, for example. You'll also note from the findings of the Cybersecurity Insiders report how we see such a small percentage of companies that currently deploy any form of monitoring to monitor human behaviours. And furthermore, that the behaviours that the people are monitoring at the moment are typically nothing more than access right violations and identity management. So it seems to me that the elephant in the room, the key actions that current technology is not focusing on, are these high-level human behaviours. Indeed, it's a blind spot across the industry, as I see it today, that nobody's looking to flag anomalous human behavioural change inside of an organisation or a network. Specifically, behaviours characteristic of changing employee or user motivations. In sum, current technology is not interested in prevention. Indeed, most of the tools that we see in the market today are effectively only in place to provide a post-incident response capability. And that's the challenge, because such tools are merely focused on trying to identify the impact of a threat post that threat being realised. And for the organisations, the consequence of this strategy is that it opens the organisation up to problems like data loss and financial impact, for example, from ransomware. In other words, the use of such tools, once hacked, can all too readily bring into the spotlight uncomfortable organisational issues around corporate risk and compliance with concomitant brand damage. And so, working with FACT360, we developed a toolbox to provide certainly an incident response capability, but more importantly, the ability to monitor the capabilities, or actions, if you like, of individuals within a network. And we do that in a very interesting way. We do that by monitoring how people communicate. We forensically analyse their communication actions and deploy AI and machine learning to identify anomalies in their communication behaviour. And once we've identified this, we can alert the user or the driver of the technology, and data can be API'd up into the company's CM environment and integrated into its wider data protection capabilities. Now, what's critical is all this can be done with minimal privacy overheads, because at this stage, this monitoring stage, we don't look at the contents of people's communications. So we're just looking at what they do. That X communicated to Y at a certain point in a certain place and at a certain time. We're not interested in the semantics of what they're talking about. Now, in this way, the technology works out of the box across any multilingual environment, and it works even with deeply encrypted messaging. We're not bothered because we're not reading the messages. We're effectively looking at metadata. However, once we've identified a potentially serious anomaly, the next stage is to investigate whether that anomaly identifies itself as a threat. And to do that, we actually do need to look at message content. And so we've integrated deep within our platform a powerful natural language understanding capability. And this enables us to investigate the corpus of communications associated with the anomaly to see whether there's a body of evidence indicating whether that anomaly is serious and hostile. So, this toolbox itself, once it's deployed, enables users to build a full comms analytics capability, a part of a CM integration. It offers a first line of defense operational management, enabling users to quickly triage the type of incident that's occurred. It offers a second line of defense, a pre-investigation capability, almost like an early case assessment, to identify the evidence required from an investigatory perspective. And it offered a third line of defense focused on audit, being able to provide a monitoring capability across an organisation or network to automatically flag anomalous, dangerous behaviour at an early, and this is the key point in prevention, at an early pre-incident stage. Now, currently, we've evaluated this technology across a variety of different application areas, including fraud, insider threat, human resource management, supply chain risk, and most recently, in cryptocurrency regulation. So I'll very quickly run through three use cases. In this use case, we were able to identify the bad actor within 4 minutes of ingesting 1.3 million communications. Intelligence Sanctuary is run by ex-UK police and head of the National Crime Agency in the UK, and they use this tool to run a major investigation in Europe to identify fraud, which led to a major corruption case within the government of an island, which shall remain anonymous, but you might have heard of this case in Europe. And finally, our colleagues at Lancelot have successfully used the tool to provide asset recovery involving oil for money across the Middle East. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark, for setting the ground of our discussion, because you may wonder why alternative finance, and we start with fraud prevention, but since alternative finance is mainly about the digital world, where we transfer value, that value, and the person that sends it and receives it have to be identified. That's why we started with this topic as the discussion start for the other panels. So you told us, Mark, what is important to look for and how a threat can be identified. By now we'll go to Christopher and Anthony to see how we